Today, I focus on the zombie idea in leadership number 3. A team must have a leader. Zombie ideas are the ideas that refuse to die despite evidence to the contrary. This zombie idea is connected to the zombie idea number 1. Leaders are saviors, and zombie idea number 2. Leaders are a special breed of people. Sure, it's comforting to think there is a competent leader ready to fix everything. But in reality, it often leads to team members sitting back and waiting for the leader to show up. The zombie idea that a team must have a leader is so strong and pervasive that even when people work collaboratively toward a common goal without a leader, we assume there is a leader behind that group. As early as the 1970s, researchers have been questioning this assumption. In Stephen Kerr and John Jeremiah's 1978 article titled Substitute for Leadership, Their Meaning and Measurement, published in Organizational Behavior and Human Performance, they identified some individual, task, and organizational variables that can function as substitutes for leadership. Those variables negate the leader's ability to either improve or impair subordinate satisfaction and performance. They include characteristics of team members, of the task, and of the organization. For example, if team members have high levels of ability, experience, training, and knowledge, they are likely to require less direction and support from their leaders, essentially making leadership less important. Similarly, team members with a strong need for autonomy and independence may not respond well to directive leadership styles, instead favoring environments where they can make decisions with discretion and their expertise. Those with a strong professional orientation often value peer evaluations more highly than their supervisor, relying on the opinions and feedback from their professional colleagues rather than their organizational superiors. Moreover, team members who show indifference toward organizational rewards, such as bonuses, promotions, or other incentives, are less likely to be influenced by leaders' attempts to motivate them through those rewards. Each of those characteristics can act as a substitute for leadership, effectively reducing the need for a leader. When it comes to task, the nature and characteristics of the work itself can significantly negate the need for a leader. For example, when tasks are unambiguous and routine, the clarity and predictability of the task diminish the need for leaders to provide constant direction or clarify expectations. It means if you've got tasks that are straightforward and predictable, you don't need a leader to jump in with a megaphone to spell out the directions. You know the steps to your favorite dance. You just do it without needing someone to count the beats for you. If you and your teammates are professional dancers, the team is well-versed in every twirl and step. If your leader is still counting out the beats and instructing every move, it's not just necessary. It feels like an insult to your skills. You don't tell seasoned chefs how to chop an onion. Similarly, methodologically invariant tasks, which have a predetermined method of execution, don't need a leader because the process to achieve the outcome is already established and known. Tasks that provide their own feedback allow team members to evaluate their own performance independently, thereby reducing the reliance on leaders for validation or correction. Moreover, tasks that are intrinsically satisfying, offering personal fulfillment or enjoyment to the individuals performing them, may reduce the demand for leaders to engage in supportive behavior aimed at motivating team members. Those task characteristics inherently substitute for certain aspects of leadership by fulfilling or negating the function typically provided by leaders. Consider a group of seasoned athletes, each with years of rigorous training under their belt. Their routines, much like methodologically invariant tasks, follow a predetermined method of execution. There is no need for a coach to micromanage every sprint or lift because the process of reaching peak performance is already established in their muscle memory, just as athletes receive immediate feedback from their performance. The precision of a dive or the speed of a sprint. Tasks that inherently provide feedback allow team members to gauge their success on their own. This self-assessment capability diminishes the need for leaders to step in for validation or correction. Moreover, for those athletes, the sheer joy of the sport and the thrill of competition and the satisfaction of a personal best are intrinsically satisfying. This deep-seated passion reduces the need for external motivation from a coach. Athletes push themselves because of their love for the sport, not because someone is cheering from the sidelines. This scenario mirrors tasks that are rewarding in themselves, where the individual drive of team members can significantly reduce the requirement for leaders to boost morale and motivation. In essence, just as a team of skilled athletes navigate their training and competition with a degree of autonomy and self-direction, so too can work teams manage tasks that are clear-cut, feedback-rich, and intrinsically rewarding. Those task characteristics naturally take on roles that may traditionally require a leader, showing that in the right context, the collective expertise and the motivation of team members are the true drive to success. At the organizational level, certain organizational characteristics can function as powerful substitutes for leadership. For example, when an organization has high levels of formalization, with explicit plans, goals, and clearly defined areas of responsibility, it establishes a framework that guides employee behavior without the need for a leader. Similarly, rigid organizational procedures can also reduce the need for direct oversight. Moreover, if organizations have highly specified and active advisory and staff who provide alternative sources of guidance and support, then employees rely less on their direct leaders. Equally important, the strength of closely knit, cohesive work groups cannot be underestimated either. Team cohesiveness refers to the strength of the bonds between team members and the shared commitment to common goals and objectives. The strong emotional and psychological connections make the team more than just a group of individuals working together. When a team is cohesive, members feel a strong sense of belonging. They trust each other, communicate openly, and support one another both professionally and personally. Those cohesive teams do not require a leader to motivate them to achieve a common goal. Also, when organizational rewards fall outside the leader's control, the leaders have little power to directly offer rewards. If the leaders failed to find alternative ways to inspire and engage their teams, there is no need for a leader. Lastly, the physical distance between leaders and their subordinates can limit direct interaction, pushing teams to find other ways to maintain communication and team cohesion without a leader. Imagine a leader's office is situated at the top floor of an office building, and the rest of the operative employees who carry out the core functions of the organization are at the bottom of the office building. This physical separation can widen the gap between leaders and the team members. In this case, the team may naturally gravitate toward self-organizing, relying on digital communication tools, peer collaboration, and make decisions to get the job done, negating the need for a leader. In an article titled Inspecting the Emperor's Clothes, evidence that random selection of leaders can enhance group performance, published in Group Dynamics, Theory, Research, and Practice in 1998. Researchers conducted experiments to challenge the zombie idea that a team must have a leader. In the experiments, groups were put in 3 conditions. The first group had no leader to guide or misguide them. The second group had a randomly selected leader. The third group had a leader who was formally selected on the basis of responses to a leadership skills survey that evaluated skills such as social skills, communication skills, and planning skills. So, which group do you think excelled in terms of team performance? Surprisingly, it turned out the groups led by randomly selected leaders outperformed those with leaders who were meticulously selected for their so-called leadership qualities. Even more surprisingly, it was the group with those formally selected leaders that had the worst team cohesion and overall team performance. When its group members were offered the opportunity to walk away from their team tasks, they were more likely to jump the ship. It's a sinking ship anyway. What's the takeaway message here? It's time to rethink how we select leaders. The traditional measures of so-called leadership skill may not always translate into superior team performance or a stronger team. As the experiments have shown, systematically selected leaders can do more harm than good. Rather than rallying the troops toward collective victories, those leaders march their teams straight into a quagmire. They pocket hefty rewards and bonuses for their efforts, only to set off in search of new teams to perhaps leading into even murkier waters. In fact, the team can perform better without them or with a randomly selected leader. Now I encourage you to keep your eyes open and share examples of this zombie idea you come across. By staying alert and informed, we can join forces to put an end to the zombie idea that a team must have a leader.